We are going to start now a brand new sugya. This is probably going to be the last sugya in Hilchos Ben Adam Mechaveiroi. In our sugya Ben Adam Mechaveiroi, which we've been working on for a while, which I'm very excited about. This is going to be the last sugya. We saved what they say the best to last, which means that we're dealing with probably one of the most nogea, most chomor, and most important ideas in Hilchos Ben Adam Mechaveiroi. And I think this is something that we all have to work on every single day of our lives. And that is the sugya of Shmiras HaLoshon. The sugya of Shmiras HaLoshon we had mentioned right in the beginning. If you remember from Rav Palm, where Rav Palm told us, we were talking about Don Lekav Schus, right? And by Don Lekav Schus, what did we say? We said there are two ways of treating Don Lekav Schus. If a person, for example, Rachmana litzlan has strep, how do you do it? What do you do with it? So either you could take painkillers like Advil, and that will numb the pain, or you can take antibiotics, which will actually go to the root of the problem and heal you. Zug Rapam Zatzal. When it comes to speaking badly, when it comes to Don Lekav Schus, so what a person can do in order to Don Lekav Schus, in order to make sure they don't get involved in Don Lekav Schus, is actually to learn the halachas of Loshon Hora, because ultimately, when a person speaks badly about somebody else, he also views that person in a bad way. He also, judges him in a bad way, right? It could many different things that we spoke about. Don Lekav Schus we spoke about judging someone, embarrassing someone, and Devorim, a lot of these sugyas, right? Now, when it comes to Loshon Hora, unfortunately, very, very hard for anybody here to say, we don't speak Loshon Hora. And not only that, if you want to do tshuva on Loshon Hora, how can a person honestly say, whether he's doing tshuva today or in Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, whatever, and he's saying, God, I will not do this anymore. It's impossible almost to do that, because we all speak, we all have conversations with other people. And we know those conversations often involve talking about other people. And therefore, it's extremely hard for us to be nizar, to be careful of this halacha. And therefore, the only way to really be careful, and the only way to be able to make sure that this is something that we are careful of, is to actually learn the halachas of Shmiras HaLoshon. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with a Hakdama, with an introduction, which is going to be probably today and tomorrow. After we get over the introduction, we're going to go through some of the halacha lemaisa. When am I allowed to say Lashon Hora? When am I not allowed to say Lashon Hora? In which situation is it mutter? In front of 3 people? What if everyone knows about it? What about shidduchim? All these sorts of things are things that we have to discuss, and it's all included in the halacha of Shmiras HaLoshon. So, by the way, we all know that the Chofetz Chaim was the mechadash in the inyan of Shmiras HaLoshon, meaning that, of course, the halachas were here before he came around, but he was the mechadash Eli to take the halachas from different marmakaimis and put them into one sefer. Baruch Hashem, we have been zoche in the yeshiva. I think 16 guys were makabel on themselves to learn Shmiras HaLoshon in the Sefer Chofetz Chaim every single day, and they got a free sefer. Right? Anyone that signed, you also did, right? You signed up, right? Beautiful thing. Eli, you also did, right? Beautiful. I think everyone here basically. That's gewaldig. That's beautiful. Okay, it's Hashem. There's levels. Maybe after this he will. But 16 guys, we asked in 1 minute. We got within a few minutes, we had 16 guys who were willing to do it, and that is beautiful, because it means, and the guys already told me, I can't remember who told it to me, but somebody told me, after I think 2 days of learning the halachas, he said, I'm already starting to when I talk, I'm like, hold on a second, is this Lashon Hora? Right? It's intense, right? Yeah. But it's beautiful. So the Chofetz Chaim was machadish by taking various marmakaimis from the Gemara, from the Rambam, Rabbeinu Yonah, and putting it together into one sefer. What inspired the Chofetz Chaim? What was it that got the Chofetz Chaim to write such a sefer that changed the face of Klal Yisrael? There's no question. We would not be able to learn the halachos of Chofetz Chaim and Shmiras HaLoshon without the Chofetz Chaim putting the sefer together, right? There's no Shulchan Aruch that says in Simon Samach Daled Hilchos Shmiras HaLoshon. There's no Shtar Zazach. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. So without the Chofetz Chaim, we would not have a code of law of Shmiras HaLoshon, right? So it's an amazing thing. What promoted him to write it? Listen to this. Listen to this. In a sefer called Kisvei Chofetz Chaim, the Chofetz Chaim's son, Rabbi Leib, wrote, and he explained what promoted his father, the Heilige Chofetz Chaim, to write the Sefer Chofetz Chaim. And he said there was a machloikas when the Chofetz Chaim was 24 years old. An argument broke out between the Rav and various members of the community, and it led to the Rav being forced to leave town. Not long after the Rav passed away, people involved in the machloikas had tremendous tzoros, and they connected it to the machloikas that they had. Said the Chofetz Chaim, he was convinced that awareness of the gravity, how bad Loshon Hora is, and its related halachos, would help get rid of machloikas and tzoros in Klal Yisrael that result from machloikas. And therefore the Chofetz Chaim said, I want to write something, I want to put together something so people will stop getting involved in machloikas. And obviously the Chofetz Chaim understood that if you speak Loshon Hora, it leads a person to arguments and machloikas, and that causes tzoros in Klal Yisrael. Therefore, the Chofetz Chaim felt that was a terrible, terrible thing. So one of the character deficiencies that leads a person to speak Loshon Hora is, and listen to this because this is so true, and think about it next time you speak Loshon Hora, because this is so true, that we focus on somebody else's shortcomings. That means it's so easy, by the way, to look at where someone else is going wrong, what someone else is doing wrong, how they're doing it wrong. But when it comes to ourselves, no, we're good. And we have a million excuses why what we're doing is okay. But we seem to not have the same excuses for somebody else when they're not doing okay. With Shraga Feivel Mendelovich, that Sal used to say, why do we have two eyes? Why did the Bein Shalom create a person with two eyes? He could have created us with one eye, one nose, one mouth. Why two eyes? Obviously there's a reason for it. So he explained one eye is to see our friends' positive attributes, and the other eye is to see our own faults as well. The problem is we do the opposite. We see our own good qualities, and we use the other eyes to see our friends' deficiencies. And therefore, if a person wants to work on Loshon Hora, Shmiras HaLoshon, the way to do that is really to try and focus on other people's good, other people's qualities, other people's good things. Somebody came over to me recently and said to me, what do I do? There's a guy that every time I see him and hear him speak, I want to smack him. Right? This is a true ma'aser. It happened. Okay? Happened. What do I do? What do I do in that situation? I want to smack him. It really bothers me. He bothers me. Every time I see the guy, I start getting all worked up. Okay? So what did I tell him? I told him a few eitzes. One eitzah I told him was every time you see him, think about something good that he does. Now, you can't tell me he does nothing good. He does something good, right? Comes to Shachris, maybe he does with the Kavona, maybe he does Negavasa with the right, whatever it is, he does something good. Start to concentrate on the good that he does. You will see eventually that you'll start to like him, and you'll start to cope with him, you'll start to bear with him, eventually even like him and love him. Now again, there are other eitzes that maybe you have to do at the same time, but that was one particular eitzah, and that's the yasoid. That when you look at other people in a good light, you're not going to speak badly about them. Loshon Hora, by the way, we're going to say this a few times, but this is very important. There are two ways to raise up yourself, to become a better person, to become a bigger person. Okay? Two ways. There's the easy way and there's the shortcut. Okay? There's the hard way and there's the shortcut way. Okay? Got it? Good. The hard way is to work hard, work on your midas, work on your character traits, build yourself up slowly and rise yourself up to become a better and bigger person. That's the hard way, but it works. There's a shortcut. You know what the shortcut is? Put somebody else down. Because when you put somebody else down, you automatically feel yourself going up. And that is a shortcut way to build yourself up, which obviously doesn't work. It's fake and it's not real, but people do it. And if you think about many of the reasons, one second. If you think about many of the reasons why we speak Loshon Hora. Now, we often don't do that because we just speak in the way we speak, and we don't even think about why we're saying what we're saying. But if you stop and think for a moment, maybe even afterwards, why did I say what I said? Why did I do that? Because I wanted to become better than him. And if I want to become better than him, I don't want to take the long route of, working hard, because that takes a long time, takes years, and it's hard work. So I'll do an easy way, I'll put him down, because if he's down, I'm up. So that's one thing that the Chofetz Chaim brings us down also, how important a person has to realize. With Moshe Aaron Stern, I think his Yotze was last week, I'm not sure. Moshe Aaron Stern was the mashgiach of Kamenetz Yeshiva, and he was a big gadol. So he brings a story that he stayed with a certain family, and he heard his host one night with his wife speaking Loshon Hora to each other. So he quietly slipped into the next room. In the olden days, they had these, the tape recorders that you press play, and the cassette goes around. You know what I'm talking about? Those old-fashioned things that they used to have. Those are gavaldic, by the way. I still have them at home. I still use them. They're gavaldic. But anyway, so he slipped into the next room and he pressed record. Okay, and he recorded the conversation that his host and his wife were having in that case, and then he stopped. The next morning he comes into the room and he said to them, tell me something. Wow, you guys were having a shmooze last night. I heard it was obviously a very, very important matter. What did you say? They're like, I don't know, I don't remember what we said. Who remembers what they said? He's like, oh, I do. Bing, play. And he played the tape of them speaking. He said they got so embarrassed. They got embarrassed. Now, obviously, he did it with a way that was heta and it wasn't embarrassing them. He did it with TLS. He did to show them we don't even realize what we say when we're saying it. We don't even chap. Half the times we say things, we don't even know why we're saying them. And after we think, why did I say that? Okay, so it's important for a person to try, and that's what we're trying to do over here, to try and think for a moment, why do we say the things that we say? It's really, really important for us to remember, right? Let's move on with the Haggadah. David HaMelech said like this, the Pasuk in Tehillim Perek Lamed Daled. David HaMelech said, Mia ish ha-chovetz chaim, oyev yomim liras toiv, netzol l'shonchem miros v'sechem medaber mirma. So the Chovetz Chaim asks like this. Says the Chovetz Chaim, it's the Shmiras Loshon Sharas Chiv in the beginning. He says there are Tariag mitzvahs, there are 613 mitzvahs, and on all of them there's a guarantee for life, and a guarantee a good life. So why does David HaMelech over here choose the mitzvah, the halacha of Shmiras Loshon, of watching your mouth, as the mitzvah that says you're going to have life and you're going to have a good life? Listen carefully. Eli, are you with me? Zug the Heilige Chovetz Chaim. He says there are two halakha and there are two parts. Number one, there's mitzvahs ben adam lemokim, and there's also mitzvah ben adam lechaveri. David HaMelech is telling us it's not enough just to keep the ben adam lemokim between you and God in order to be zoicha toiv in olam haba and olam hazeh. You have to also keep the ben adam lechaveri, and the eitzah of that is shmiras haloshon. The eitzah, says the Chovetz Chaim, of the highest level of ben adam lechaveri, not only ben adam lemokim, is shmiras haloshon. If a person guards his tongue, then mimela, he saves and prevents himself from all the labim of ben adam lechaveri. Do you hear that? The Chovetz Chaim is telling us that the master key, the mafteach, the key, the schlüssel, that leads a person to the whole palace, to all the rooms, for everything else of Ben Adam that we have been discussing until now, is through Shmiras Loshon. And through that is the key to all in Yonei Ben Adam Lechaver. The Manchester Rosh Hashiva Zechat Tzadik V'Kodesh Livrocha brought down in his Sefer Yirav V'Das, given to me by a son of his dear Talmud, Rabbi Yosef Yonah, why is that Sal, that we have in the Yeshiva, gave me the Sefer Yirav V'Das and Parsha Shmini, that he says many people learn Hilchos Shmiras Haloshon. Many people learn it. You guys, many of you guys are learning it. Aber Zuk the Manchester Rosh Hashiva, many people miss the boat and they don't realize the ikar of all these halachas, that the issa of Loshon Hora is not to b'tsar, not to put your friend to tsar in any way, adarabah, to give him the right covet. Chazal tell us, al shloisha dvarim ha'olim oimdim. There are three things the world stands on: al Torah, al avoda, and gemilas chasadim. How? Asks the Manchester Rosh Hashiva, who was zoicha to start the luach of daily 2 halachas a day. He was asked when he died to be buried with the luach. He said, this is my ticket to olam haba. The fact that I started a movement in the world of people learning 2 halachas of Shmiras Haloshon a day is my ticket to olam haba. He asked to be buried with it in his keva, because he said that was my ticket to olam haba. Asks the Manchester Rosh Hashiva, how do we work on number 3? Again, al shloisha dvarim ha'olam oimdim. There are 3 things the world stands on: al Torah, al avoda, and gemilas chasadim. Torah, no, so we have a base measures, we sit and learn. Al avoda, we daven nowadays. We don't have a base hamikdash. Gemilas chasadim. Asked the Rosh Hashiva, how do we do it? What do we do to strengthen our gemilas chasadim? Zogt the Manchester Rosh Hashiva to be mechazik in shmiras haloshon. And that's what it's doing over here in our series. Shmiras Haloshon, as Chazal, as the Chovetz Chaim, as the Manchester Rosh Hashiva is telling us, is the Pesach, is the entrance way for a person to be able to work on all of the other and be saved from all of the other Ben Adam Lechaveri sugas that we've been dealing until now. It's a very chomer, important and severe halacha. In Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow, we'll continue with the next part of the Akdama.